What's up, everybody in the YouTube world? This is Chris, aka Barnon11970. Thank you, as always, for checking out my videos. All right, this is a very interesting topic that I've seen, and it's been going on for a while, at least as long as I've been on YouTube, which is basically since 2010, but most people didn't know about me until about beginning of 2011. I've been following the Corey C. and King Cole kind of situation the past couple of days, and from my own personal experience, over the years especially, I've seen there are people in this world, for whatever reasons. Obviously, I can't say the intentions of other people. I can only go by the intentions of what I do. Thank you, Kat. There are people in this community, for whatever reason, find pleasure in hurting others. Now, some people do it in a comical way. Some people do it in a threatening way. And it basically boils down to somebody not liking someone or somebody not agreeing with what they're thinking about or what they're talking about, to the point where people want to fight each other, death threats, and violence. I've even encountered this myself. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is every situation that I've ever been in on YouTube, I don't deny anything, because to realize mistakes is the way people grow, and to get past them is the way to better yourself. So the things I'm going to talk about, I have no problems with talking about, because it's part of my life. It's a life experience, and I moved on. But in my defense, I want to say not one thing was ever initiated. It was always in a response to somebody else's antagonism. It doesn't make it right on my end, but it would have never happened. It's reaction. Somebody causes an action, there's a reaction. So with that being said, my first encounter was about, I think, the end of 2000, right around almost the end of 2012, where even back then, Corey C. and we had some issues. These things happen. And at one point, I was getting, not from him, I got a phone call from somebody who I don't know who it is, nor do I care at this point, that was calling to make a physical death threat on me. Didn't say who they were, but I'm very good at voices. I mean, being a DJ and hearing people sing and things like that, I'm used to what voices sound like. So I don't know who it was, but it was enough to make me call the police at that time, because I was concerned. And somebody made a fake profile that pretended to make it look like my profile. Everything was copied, including, at the time, my wife had a YouTube channel, so they even copied her as my featured list. And then people were saying some really nasty, disrespectful things about my wife, saying how they wanted to rape her, how somebody said they wanted to rape her, then, how do I put this without offending anybody, finishing a situation on top of my wife. And some people actually went as far as saying, oh, I'd have sex with her, and I'm saying that in a respectful way, and then I'd just murder her afterwards. Now, any husband out there, if you've ever heard anyone say that about your wife, how would you react? Would you say, oh, that's funny, say some more jokes? Or would you want to, as a human being, and this is before I was awakened to anything, I was just starting to learn this stuff. I was in the fear porn stage, like everybody starts out with, the whole Alex Jones kind of situations, the Max Kaisers, the ones that pump nothing but fear into you. So I was already concerned about trying to learn all this stuff through the doom and gloom before I knew what I know now. So I was filled with anger and fear. And I got to the point where I don't even remember who was telling me, but somebody sent me a message saying it was Raw Dog. And I called, I think I called Corey C., because him and I used to talk on the phone a bunch of times. And I basically said, if Raw Dog was the one that did it, I will take it, I will go to his house and slit his throat. Now, obviously, I didn't follow through with it, and it ended up, it wasn't him. Raw Dog actually called me, and we talked it out, so it was settled. I apologized for my part. He apologized for his part. There was misconfusion, and it was, as far as I'm concerned, done. But people would continue to still bring that up, even to this day. But was it a right thing to do? Of course not. I see that now. But I don't, if you, unless you hate your wife and you wish her dead, if somebody made threats like that, you would overreact too. And that's exactly what I did. To err is human. And I'm fine with it. And I wouldn't change it. That's just who I am. Those of you who've been watching my channel know that back in 2012, my father also died in a fire. And I hadn't seen him for years. He came to move back to here. He was living in West Virginia for about 20, 25 years. Came to move back here. Ended up, we saw each other once, and he died in a fire. And it was just something I couldn't handle. And then there's a person, we'll just name him the Unit. He used that as an opportunity to kind of jab at me because for whatever reason, he didn't like me to the point where he knew how to antagonize me, and people were making fun of it, and I couldn't handle it at that time. It was something I tried to deal with, but I didn't know how. I didn't process it. I didn't have anybody to talk to, so it was built up inside. I was sad. I was mad. I was disappointed. A lot of mixed emotions. And there were some people that took pleasure in hurting a fellow human being by making little jabs. I also, at that time, my wife and I were having problems, and she left me. So I had my wife leaving me and my father's death in my mind. Needless to say, I wasn't in the best of shape emotionally. And the Unit got to the point where he jabbed at me so much that I threatened to fight him. And we were going to do a whole thing where we were going to fly down to Texas. We were going to do a whole boxing match kind of situation. And at that particular time, when it got to the point where I wanted to fight the Unit, my wife and I were trying to get things back together again. And she heard about the fight because she saw it on YouTube because I made it public what was going on because I was pissed, and rightfully so. She basically said, if I go through with the fight, there's no chance of us ever getting back together again. So I declined the fight, not because I was scared, not because I was worried I would lose, but it wasn't worth losing the best thing that ever happened to me over. So I ended it. That's when I gave up drinking. That's when I started eating better. I started changing my life, started doing the sun gazing, doing things positive. But people would still, all that time, because people always say, you know, just avoid the people. Excuse me, avoid the people. You can't do that when people hate you. Fast forward to around now, when I had the second anniversary of my father's death, because every year on his anniversary, I want to do like a tribute video to my father and try and get somebody out there to buy a smoke alarm to save their lives. And there was an individual that less than 5 or 6 hours after I made that tribute video, used the video of my father's death as an opportunity to jab. And that set me off, because to me, that's total disrespect. He could have waited a day or two. He could have not mentioned the fact that my father died. This is what anger does to people. And at this point, I deleted that video because not because I don't want people to see it, because I know people recorded it, so I'm not worried. If you want to see it, I'm sure some person that hates me is going to have it posted. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not embarrassed about it. I just don't want the negativity on my channel anymore. And then you see the recent stuff where all the thumbs down I get from the people, probably 3 or 4 people who have several hundred troll accounts, all doing it all at the same time. Because, you know, that's what really happens. Somebody watches a 30-minute video, and 5 seconds later, there's 40 thumbs down all at the same time. I'm sure that happens commonly. But there are people out there who don't like me and don't like other people in this world, and they're willing to do what they can to hurt a fellow human being, either for personal gain, for monetary reasons, or just for personal pleasure. And we wonder as a society why we have to deal with wars, abusive people, criminals, a hostile environment where people don't get along anymore. And I think in the beginning of my YouTube experience, I was just shocked that people would actually want to attack somebody like me when I thought my job was to try and do the right thing to help people. I get things wrong, but I don't make up stories to hurt people. There have been times where I've gotten information that in the beginning I didn't verify and find out it was inaccurate or totally wrong, and then I looked foolish. And sometimes pride takes in and you're embarrassed and you don't want to admit that you did something wrong. That's just human nature. But I've never, ever made a video where my intent and purpose was to fool people and hurt them. Now, some people might say, oh, well, what about your April Fool's video? Well, first of all, April Fool's videos, I put in the description. You could read it. It says it. So I warned people. And if you watch the whole video, it says it. So it was meant to educate. No other time have I ever done anything that would hurt people. And yet, as you'll see, and you'll see on this video too, that there are people who find pleasure in hurting fellow human beings, your fellow man. And until we as a society can get along and work together, nothing is ever going to improve. Now, none of these people that hurt me or try and hurt me know me other than what they see in a video. So they base their opinions on me and make accusations about me based on videos. They don't know me personally. Because in my personal life, the last time I got into a physical fight was I was about 10 years old. From the age of 10 to 43, which I am now, not once have I come into a fight other than breaking up a fight in a bar from two other people and got sucker punched in the face because somebody turned around with an elbow not realizing, and I got basically sucker punched, not intentional. But I wouldn't even consider that a fight. I used to have nothing but parties. And people always loved being at my house because they knew that if they came here, they were safe, they were going to be entertained, and if they drank too much, I wouldn't let them drive. I would make them sleep on the couch. I would take care of my friends, provide tons of alcohol, tons of food, and have a great time almost 3 or 4 times a week for 5 or 6 years straight. My neighbors hated me until I invited them into the parties. But the point is, there are people willing to hate and do whatever they can to hurt others. And then you see with the whole Corey C. Cole thing, where Cole is making death threats. And Corey made a video showing that. Talking about raping his wife. That's disrespectful and it's taking it to another level. And that's, to me, unfortunately, Cole, that's a cowardly act. And considering how many people bring up my name, like you and Silver Guitar, and Silver Guitar actually emailed me and apologized. So I don't have a problem with him anymore. But Cole, you guys made videos when you were talking about Corey, you were insulting and attacking me when I never even said anything about you. And this is where people need to control their emotions. And the reason I brought up the examples that I was in is I've been there. I can relate to it. We're all human. If somebody had a child and somebody said even on a computer, oh, I'm going to rape your child, you're telling me as a father you wouldn't want to kill that person? Even not physically, just even the thought of wanting to do it. So like the whole situation with Raw Dog, it was an error in judgment. It was a moment where I was protecting the honor of my wife. Doesn't mean it was right, but it doesn't mean I should be ashamed of something that I would do over again. And I know many people that would do the same. But until these people in the world decide to find something more positive to do in their life, this is an experience we're all going to feel. And that's why I'm learning even myself and trying to teach to be the better person. And I've decided they're just not worth it anymore. So I hope people can start learning to get along. Until we can get rid of the people's mentality of hate, nothing's ever going to change in this world. I hope they do. Because, to be honest, I forgive every single person that's ever hurt me. And I hope they have a better life, and I hope they do something more positive. What they think, I can't control, nor do I care. Because they'll be thinking about me every moment they can, when I want to think about them unless they present themselves. So who's really the desperate one? and I hope they find something more positive. So anyway, before this video ends, I have a job to do. I have to go DJ a party and go make everybody happy. That's what I do best, at least in the real world. And I want to wish everybody a happy Sunday and hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.